So I got my friend Fourth here, and I wanted to talk about a topic that's been on my mind because something my dad told me. He said that, you know how, like, in the past, people would learn something from, like, a master and they would learn one specific skill, and then they would move on to the next skill after they mastered the first skill. And he said that it was a shame that no one would be able to learn that way now, and everyone learns everything at once and never masters anything. It was interesting to me because it kind of ran the opposite direction to how I normally think. I have a big variety of skills and complain that I can't master any of them because I have too many things that I want to do. But at the same time, I tend to value the cross-disciplinary aspect of it, in that when you learn something else, it can connect back to a different skill that you already have and strengthen everything at once. So I was wondering what you think about that.
I mean, I think it really depends on what you want to do. I have to agree. I do miss when we used to be skilled at very specific things. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind when I think about learning from a master how to do this one specific thing, I don't know why. The first thing that came to mind was sword making, the art of making a katana. In Japan, like that's a dying art. That's something you learn from a master. But I mean, it really just depends on what you're going for because are you talking about like as a personal growth, learning or mastering these skills versus having a wide variety of them, or like the workplace, getting a job, like
I think it's all connected. Learning skills to get a job and learning skills for personal growth I think are related to each other.
it is. The thing is that they don't all look the same. That's not a one size fits all for what's good for your personal growth versus what gets you a job in the workplace.
Hmm.
Because ultimately, when it comes to getting a job, you're a product and you're trying to market yourself. And sometimes when you're doing that, that doesn't mean just picking and choosing the things that you personally enjoy or like the most. I mean, it depends on what your situation is. For the people who do get to do that, good for them.
I do think the job market tends to like specialists. They don't tend to like hiring someone who can, like one person who can sort of do everything. They like to hire someone who can do one thing very well and better than everyone else who applied.
Oh, yeah. They only start, I think that a lot of high skill jobs, they only really start appreciating diversity of skills when you've already got that mastery of that one thing and you're able to do that well. I imagine, like, brain surgeons, that's like one of the highest technical skill careers. And, if the brain surgeon can do heart surgery too, great. They're going to be the very cream of the crop. I imagine, though, they're just going to be doing one of those.
Yeah, there's not really a reason for them to do both, economically speaking.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're so big now. We can afford to basically have specialists, people doing just one thing.
And you're saying that in terms of personal growth, it might be a different story in terms of there might be more of a reason to diversify skills.
Yeah, it depends what you want to do. I mean, I think everyone needs to be good at something. I think that being good at multiple things and a master of nothing is better than just not doing anything, which is a big problem I see in Gen Z going younger. Is that I've talked to like friends and family about this, how I just see a lot of kids and young adults our age just don't have any hobbies. None. They don't do anything besides they go to school, they do their homework, they scroll on social media, and they, as they call it these days, bed rot. They
Yeah.
consume. They kind of fulfill their academic obligations, and then they just consume.
I guess I didn't expect the topic of bed rotting and not having any hobbies to appear because, like, that's like a third state to be in. Like, state number one is specializing and mastering one thing, and state number two is being a jack of all trades and doing everything, and state number three is doing nothing.
Yeah, and I personally think that either one of the other two are better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna lead into with that is that I think a lot of people they don't have any hobbies in part, not entirely, but I think for some people it's that if they can't be a master of something, they see no point in doing it.
Oh.
And so I think that a good perspective to have, or that they can adopt, is you can have diversity of skills, because I just think it's not a very good mentality to have for obvious reasons. I see that a little bit in my brother and my brother's friends, when they're not immediately super good or great at something, they see no point in doing it. They don't see a path to getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, it would be better to dismantle that kind of perspective entirely. But hey, if we can't be masters, we might as well be jacks, I guess.
That's interesting. Do you think that's because of what we said before about how the economy favors specialists and wants you to do one thing and be better at it than everyone else?
There's that, but it's I don't know if that's. I think that people in Gen Z and younger get very mixed messages, because all throughout school, where people get this kind of jack of all trades, learning everything and not specializing thing, is in the education system. We learn a little bit of everything, so the goal is to be well-rounded.
Yeah, especially in America, you don't really have a specialization until you're literally an adult.
Right, but it's not that the youth don't ever have interaction with that they need to be specialized in a single thing. They start introducing that in high school. It's like, what's your major gonna be? What are you gonna do for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a false perception. The idea that you're gonna be in the same career your entire life, you're never gonna change it.
Yeah. And at the same time, they also emphasize that a lot of people change majors in university. There's like some sort of statistic about the average person changing majors multiple times.
I did. My dad must have changed his majors at least 4 times. My mom did the same thing. I mean, who knows? My
Four
brother will
times?
probably. Yeah, I mean, he did at least like 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Crazy.
They had a joke in his hometown saying that he was never ever going to leave school. Not because he was bad at school. He was just never going to leave it because he could never decide what he was going to do. So he kept going back to school for different things.
Crazy.
My brother will probably change his opinion too.
Neither of my parents ever changed their areas of specialization. They were just locked into one thing for their entire life.
I mean, I don't know what it was like for them. Just because my dad might have changed 4 majors time, but he was far from rich. He was poor. I know he had scholarships, and then he lost scholarships because he kept messing around. And then I think he started paying his way after a bit, but college looked a lot different back when he was young, and it definitely, so was the price tag.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my parents are from China, so it might be different. There might be more of a value in specialization over there. I don't know. But yeah, both of them kind of went to university for one thing and then graduated and worked in this one spot. And then they pretty much got hired over to America, and that thing that they got hired for was their career for the rest of their life.
Yeah, and so yeah, when it comes to youth, they get mixed messaging and based on what level of education they're in. But what I really think is, I don't think it's necessarily just the education. I think it's a little bit of a lack of initiative.
Oh,
I think having the specialization in one skill takes a bit more initiative, because you have to actively decide, I'm going to focus and put all my efforts into this one thing, as opposed to you can kind of sample around with diversity of skills. You don't have to. There's not a rat race.
I definitely think it takes more determination and just overall effort, because for me, picking up a new skill is like, it just happens naturally, and there's a much lower level of commitment to it. Definitely, at the higher skill level you get in a certain subject, the more work it is to get even higher. So becoming better than everyone else at one thing, I think, is more difficult and takes more work than being able to do more different things than everyone else.
So it makes sense then why the workplace would value those who specialize in specific skills more. I mean,
Uh, I think the workplace valuing it more is more so because the workplace wants you to be really good at something.
well, how do you think it should be then?
I think it makes sense for the workplace to value what it does value, because if one person is better than everyone else at one specific thing, then they can do their job especially well. I think it makes sense for that to be what the workplace values. But there does seem to be a contradiction between that and what makes a more, I guess, valuable human being. Not in work contribution, but in just the person.
Well, you got to think about the country that we live in. We live in America. You work a job. The cash that you receive from your paycheck should hopefully provide the necessary things you need. You don't need to know how to build a house. You can make cash to make a down payment. You don't need to know how to make clothes. You can go buy clothes. Cash is kind of the tool that which removes the need to be this sort of jack of all trades, master of none.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it the case to where you don't have to be good at everything.
Yeah, I think in terms of utility and surviving, I think that is correct. But when I was talking about the value of a person, I was thinking more along the lines of if you know how to do more things, you understand the world around you and people around you to a deeper level, and you also have more empathy for other people and such. Like,
I don't think that's true. I don't think having a diversity of skills makes you a more empathetic person. I don't like this is kind of all just a big it depends. What skills are you learning? What is a skill? You get into sort of the definition game, but I don't really see how it's going to make a person more empathetic. Does it make them more knowledgeable, maybe a little more worldly? Yeah. Depends. Like if I become the champion at Osu, the rhythm click game, I don't know if that's necessarily going to make me a more worldly person. And I think it really just it depends on the skill you're learning.
yeah, I was thinking of the types of experiences that you get along the way of learning skills. Like, it makes you appreciate some things that seem easy on the outside, and I guess make you more grateful because a lot of the things that we're able to buy with cash, as you said, take work to make, and it's easy to forget that. And having more of those experiences, I think, contributes to, I guess, just being more aware in general.
Yeah, you can also do the opposite. You could be like, "You're complaining about this. This is easy. Quit whining. I don't want to hear this anymore."
I think in most cases that's not gonna happen though.
It happened with me with writing. I'm like, you guys are complaining about. I'm not saying writing's easy. Writing good is especially not easy. But, you make it sound. Some of these people make it sound like they're bricklayers. I had to burn the midnight oil. I had to stay up writing instead of playing Fortnite. Probably aren't going to be playing Fortnite, but. So I think you can do the opposite.
Yeah. I think it doing the opposite is maybe not necessarily a bad thing either for your personal character.
Fair enough. I can. Fair enough. Being able to call out someone who's maybe being a little hyperbolic about their strife.
Yeah, like you being a writer, I think your skill of being able to both come up with what you think of something and communicate that effectively using language, I think is a skill that is very important to your character and a big like part of what makes you like a valuable person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
For you in particular, just being able to be just extremely perceptive with your thoughts and everything.
Yeah. We keep throwing around like being a valuable person. I just like to define by saying that serving yourself is a non-starter. You have to serve yourself, but someone who also serves others. It doesn't have to be a lot of people, it doesn't have to be everyone, but just someone other than you is I think a valuable person.
Yeah.
So people who go their entire lives serving nobody but themselves. It doesn't matter to me if you're good at 10 things, 5 things, 1 thing. Now, that's just my definition of what a valuable person is. Like how we said before at the workplace, people will say, we value this one specialized skill. We want you to do this one thing. The act of getting good at multiple different things, I think, is better for personal fulfillment. Because you're right that you can't do one thing your entire life. You will get burnt out. You will get bored. When you're old and you're sitting in the hospital bed reflecting, you're gonna be like, wow, I sure did that thing and I did it great. You got one life. I think that you're right to say that on a personal fulfillment level. It's not much so that the skills are necessarily going to be useful. It's more so that you're living your life.
The process of obtaining those skills is more of the value.
You got to enjoy yourself, at least a bit. Like I said earlier with like the Osu champion thing. Just because being the champion at Osu isn't necessarily going to make me a more empathetic or better or useful person. Like I said, doing something for yourself, that's not inherently bad. It's going your entire life only serving yourself that I think is a life not well spent. But if you want to become the Osu champion, just so you can, for the fun of doing it, I think that you should go for it.
Yeah.
Assuming you have all of your other cards in order.
I have noticed that there are some people who sort of forget to serve themselves. And this is a criticism that my dad has about me. I'm not sure how much it's true or not applying to me, but he's been telling me that I need to stop spending my time doing so many things for other people and start doing things for myself. And I'm not really sure how true that is for me, but I have noticed it in other people, where they spend all of their energy looking after other people and forget that they themselves are sort of collecting dust and starting to malfunction because they just have not spared a thought about themselves.
You're the seed planted in the ground, sharing your nutrients to the other seed next to you. And the seed next to you is growing up into a sapling and starts sprouting leaves. And then eventually those leaves become a shade that covers you and you're not growing anymore. You're just becoming a source of energy for the other sapling. You have to have yourself in order. You have to do something for yourself before you can do things for others. Eventually there's going to come a point where you can't help people anymore.
And do something enriching for yourself rather than play Osu all day.
Yeah, and with like a lot of people in our generation who don't have hobbies, who aren't enriching themselves, who aren't doing something. See, it's a very particular thing because they are doing things for themselves. They're just it lacks the self-fulfillment part though.
They're doing something for their enjoyment, but not their personhood and richness of life.
Nobody's getting a medal for breathing, eating, and sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Part of the diversity of skills thing in learning something for yourself is that you can say that you can do something that other people can't do. The scarcity of the thing does at some level translate to the amount of happiness or enrichment that you get out of doing it. Scrolling on your phone, consuming, everyone does it, and no one's going to give you a medal for it, and no one's going to be impressed by it. And they know this, they wouldn't give a medal to anyone else for doing those things either. And I think that's a part of why there's probably going to be a little bit of a identity crisis in the future about their place in the world, because it's like, man, I go to school and I doom scroll and I watch Love Island. I don't know. But everyone's watching Love Island. Everyone's doom scrolling. Everyone's black pilled. Where are the white pilled people? You gotta be the white pilled person.
I was listening to these two guys talk about something, and one of them mentioned Love Island, and he said that his wife and kid kept watching that show, and they wanted him to watch a season of it, and he sort of begrudgingly agreed. He watched it and he started having all these reflections about how these people's lives and mentalities must be, and kind of like how you were reflecting on, I think Fish Tank was the thing that you were having all these extended reflections on the people's lives and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I think if you get that out of watching Love Island, then I don't think watching Love Island is that bad of a thing. But if you're just reverting to amoeba on the couch while Love Island plays in front of you, I think that's where things are a bit hairy.
We all have our dirty pleasures. Fish Tank is one of mine. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say that all people who watch Love Island. It's just that Love Island is like the it thing. When I talk to a lot of girls, they say, have you watched anything good lately? Well, I watched Love Island. You're all watching Love Island. Yeah, it's popcorn food. It's popcorn food, but Fish tank is also popcorn food, but
Hell, Danganronpa is popcorn food.
oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I've somehow found myself in a position where my channel is somehow related to that. But I'm in a position where like the source material is popcorn, but I'm trying to fish something out of it.
You're on MasterChef. You know that cooking show. You're on MasterChef, and Gordon Ramsay's telling you to take this popcorn and make it into a 5-star meal. Good luck.
I mean, I think I've got something going with the themes and stuff that I want to explore in V3 Aftermath. Our conversation about a value of a person is connected to that as well. If the workforce only wants specialists, then you as a jack of all trades, what are you worth? Maybe you're worth more to the immediate people around you who you are influencing.
That you become an influencer. That's where the light's shining, Brian. Your dad voiced his concerns. You know, how it was a lamentable loss that there weren't people learning from their elders or their masters anymore to be good at this very specific thing. But, you know, if you want to talk about it, you probably had some kind of concerns of your own about it. I mean, what are you concerned about when it comes to those two? Because I don't think they're in conflict with another. I think that you need to have actually both to in order to have a well balanced life. You need to be specialized in a thing and have like a bunch of other skills that maybe you're not a master at. I think that you need both. So I don't find them being necessarily in conflict. But do you have concerns about maybe how there's people kind of divide them or something?
I think the conflict for me is that, or not concerns, but like thoughts about myself. One is that I'm pretty proud of having the skill set that I have, and I enjoy being able to do everything. I can just say I want to make a game, and I can just make the game because I have all of the skills that are needed in order to make a game. But on the other hand, I've always felt a bit stuck in terms of getting from good to great at something. For all of the skills that I'm best at, you know, the music stuff, the art stuff, computer science as well, like, I'm good at them, but I'm not good enough to be a specialist at them. That extra hurdle is one that I guess the blunt and cold way to say it is that I simply haven't put the commitment into becoming an expert at any of those things. And I sort of lament a little bit that I can't just find like a wizened old master at one of these things and just suck all of the knowledge from that person in particular. Because I think that's the most direct way that a person can master something.
Oh yeah, having someone who's a master to give you all the answers, totally. Most everyone though is having to find their own way these days. You're not
Yeah.
in the minority when it comes to that. You're the majority. But I do think when it comes to being specialized thing, it's all about consistency, you know. Most skilled career professions require you to renew some kind of license. You need to get renew some kind of license every few years because the information, the rules, they all change. You have to it's an upkeep thing. It's a consistency thing. You have to upkeep it consistently. I write and I play instruments and I do all kinds of other things. But there's only one of those things I do every single day, and that's writing. I write every single day, and I've done that. I've done that since high school. I've never taken a day off except maybe when I had food poisoning. But uh, maybe I'm not always necessarily writing the thing that I need to be writing, or maybe I'm not writing a lot, but I do it every single day. And because of that, I'm not playing my instruments every single day. I'm not cooking every single day. I'm not doing all these other different things every single day. There are some things that are going to have to take a hit in favor of something else. There's only so many hours in a single day. And really, the key to becoming specialized and super good at this one thing is its consistency and upkeep. And also you have to the gradual challenge increase. I mean, you can keep playing Tetris on level 1 difficulty, but you're probably not going to ever be able to hold your own and like I don't know, Tetris level 11 or something like that, you know. You need to push yourself, challenge yourself. You need to be challenged.
Another thing that's been happening is that I've realized that almost all of the things I do are things that I'm naturally talented at, so it's not so hard to pick up initially. And the only real exception is the voice stuff. I'm definitely not naturally talented at using my voice to do things. I've noticed that, and I've realized that the voice stuff has been contributed to my personal growth much more than all that other stuff that I'm naturally talented at.
Oh yeah.
It's harder for people to decide that they really want to pick up something that they're not naturally talented at.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that if you have a talent, you should play into it. You know, nobody likes wasted talent. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
You should 100% play into it. You can even make it your focus, but you can't let being talented at something or a few things stop you or scare you from trying something maybe you're not so talented in. Because you're right, that is the thing that's going to build character. It's your ability to sink or swim, to try whenever you don't have it, whenever it's not immediately clicking for you. You're breezing, you know, you might be able to relate to this. You're breezing through elementary, middle, and high school. Then you get to college, and maybe there's like a couple classes here and there that are absolutely whooping you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the real do or die test of your mettle. Are you gonna give up, or are you gonna sit down and figure things out? And sometimes things don't always work out. You know, sometimes you're gonna fail, and maybe it's just not meant to be. But it's really the act of trying that matters more in that specific case. When it comes to testing your mettle as a person for if you can go outside your comfort zone with your talents, can you show that you're not scared to fail? Not scared to fail. Nobody wants to be known as like the peaked in high school guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who was really good on the football team and then he leaves and he's just not very good at anything else. Nobody wants to be that.
Yeah, and if you did peak in high school and you're sort of in a rut in your 20s or something, there's plenty of time to pick yourself back up and try something new. Especially recently, I feel people have stopped realizing that they still have time to pick themselves back up.
Dude, you still have stuff to do. You can still do things until you die. That's another thing. A lot of old people are like, I'm too old to do this new thing, to try this new thing.
A
False.
lot of people just start doing something totally different in retirement. Like, my grandpa was apparently a really good engineer that I just completely did not know because he never mentioned it. All he does day in and day out now is take bird photos.
That's funny. Yeah, I think you mentioned him. I was thinking about my grandpa who was also, well, I don't think he was an engineer. I think he was specifically an architect for nuclear sites or something like that. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a problem where he's retired now, but he's not really trying anything new. I mean, no shame on him for golfing every single day. It's his retirement. He worked hard. He was golfing before. Now he just golfs every day. Maybe that's the dream.
The question is, does he want to do more than that?
I don't know. I say there's no shame in it. I mean, maybe you know every day when he went to work, he was thinking, "Man, I sure loved golfing with the guys on the weekend. I can't wait to retire so I can do that every day." He gets to retirement. Oh yes, every day now, every day.
Yeah. Like, some people are more single-minded than other people. Like, some people can just do one thing their whole life and be satisfied.
Turns out those guys are the really good at being specialists. They
Yeah?
get good at at the one thing. You know, when you get that paycheck for being really good at this one specific thing, especially if it's something you feel satisfied by, that can really heighten your drive just to be really good and continue doing that one thing. And money doesn't even have to be a factor for, in fact, money isn't the biggest factor for people, it's job satisfaction. I think money might be like the second or third. If you're satisfied in what you're doing, you're probably going to be just fine doing that your entire life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my recommendation would be if you want to get specialized thing, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. You got to challenge yourself.
Yeah. I think the balance that you've struck with your writing and everything else that you do is very good and very respectable.
Yeah, I do try to give the appearance of that indeed.
Yeah, you just seem so put together, and it's like, I know that it's partly appearance, but it's still like, wow.
It's not, it's I'm being facetious. It's not, it's hardly appearance, you know. I just think that life is good.
Yeah.
I think that things could be a lot worse.
Indeed.
Not that they're worse at all, bad at all. So nobody freak out. You know, the sky isn't falling.
Go outside, look at the birds. Everything is fine.
Touch the grass. Yeah.
I think we can end about here.
Oh, that's great. Because I gotta dip and do some errands.
All right, I'll let you go now.
All right.
Good talk.
Thanks for the talk, Brian. Bye.
Bye bye.